In his TED talk, A Modest Proposal, Dance Your PhD, Dr. John Bohannon uses dancers to demonstrate how a difficult concept can be explained through unconventional means. Following his argument chronologically, we will explain how Bohannon effectively uses this logical appeal as well as pathetic and ethical appeals to prove to his audience that there are creative alternatives to using means such as PowerPoint to present information. Yet, his argument has an even broader message: that society should strive to be more creative in its means of both teaching and learning in general. To begin his presentation, Bohannon uses pathos and logos to demonstrate his point by utilizing dancers to demonstrate a complex experiment. He immediately grabs the audience's attention at the beginning by having the dancers simulate a jetpack that carries him onto the stage. As he introduces his presentation, the dancers mimic his every step and head movement. This could be seen as distracting, but it nonetheless keeps the audience engaged. Bohannon uses the dancers to break down a complex experiment by having them simulate photons, lasers, atoms, and superfluids. The dancers' movements convey the actions of these subatomic particles so that the audience can see the experiment in action rather than just hearing about it. Their job is to emphasize his points to the audience. This method of communication evokes an emotional response from the audience that in turn keeps them focused on what Bohannon is saying. The purpose of the demonstration of this experiment, which has no direct relevance to Bohannon's overall message, is to demonstrate that a creative device, such as dancing, can be used to explain a subject as dry and quantitative as science. As part of his central argument, Bohannon criticizes the growing use of tedious and monotonous PowerPoint presentations to inform audiences rather than other creative alternatives. Although the use of PowerPoint is convenient and straightforward, it dulls and confuses audiences with numerous slides of information. Bohannon states his belief that PowerPoint presentations are bad to the global economy by using logos. He provides statistics that assume that a quarter of all PowerPoint presentations are a complete waste of time. Given that 30 million PowerPoint presentations are created worldwide every day, this will add up to an eventual waste of $100 billion. Moreover, he claims that the use of PowerPoint is abused and filled with irrelevant data and useless pictures. The unstated argument of Bohannon's proposals is that while technology improves, creativity disappears. In other words, Bohannon is implying that the different ways of learning are becoming more limited as PowerPoint becomes more widespread. The best way to present information to audiences, he claims, is to use as few words as possible. He even goes as far as to say, the fewer words, the better. In spite of the effectiveness of Dr. Bohannon's argument, it has several noticeable flaws. First, while the dancers help Bohannon to get his point across, some people in the audience may find him to be distracting since he does not actually mention the dancers until later on. Additionally, right after he makes his proposal to save the economy, he cites an estimate with statistics of how much money is lost because of PowerPoint, but does not give the source of the estimate. He also states that we can use things such as dance to solve not only scientific problems, but economic and international problems as well. However, he simply makes these claims without giving any evidence or examples to back them. Granted, Dr. Bohannon does use ethos to gain trust and credibility from the audience when he mentions his PhD. However, his claims about PowerPoint are not supported at all. Among these claims are that PowerPoint gives the illusions of competence, simplicity, and understanding. These assertions, while bold and effective in arguing against PowerPoint, are generalized and do not necessarily speak for all PowerPoint. Nonetheless, Bohannon's failure to mention the arguments of his opponents throughout his TED talk might actually support his own argument, especially considering that his audience is likely to be made up of an academic community that is already familiar with PowerPoint. While the bulk of his argument seems to be against PowerPoint presentations, Bohannon does not literally want to replace PowerPoint itself with dancers. The dancing during his speech is simply a pathetic appeal to evoke an emotional response to the vivid representations of his words through dance. This serves as an example of a creative alternative. Bohannon uses pathos to appeal to emotions and make a difficult topic seem less serious. In this way, he creates a less stressful environment, making it easier to learn. something that is useful for a topic as complex as molecular biology. He admits his own confusion about the subject, saying, "The more scientists say, the less I understand." Using dance as an alternative to verbal explanation, he believes that such a topic will be better understood than it would have been through a PowerPoint presentation. Ultimately, Bohannon does not encourage getting rid of PowerPoint presentations altogether. He claims that it is ineffective to use mediums such as PowerPoint and others like it excessively when there are plenty of other ways to convey information, such as dancing. Essentially, Bohannon's argument is not specifically that PowerPoint is bad, but that it is important to come up with creative ways to learn and spread information. By doing so, he believes that the use of innovative ways to learn will save us money and save our minds.